Hi guys and girls, it's Pete, Mindwiseman's channel, aka Maverick Outdoors, and today is Sunday the 5th of May 2013, and in the UK it's the bank holiday weekend. So yesterday, Saturday, I sat out in the canoe on the rivers, and late in the afternoon, early evening, after doing a bit of a paddle about and having a look around, seeing if now the milder weather's come, you know, if the nature's coming back to life, and it's just starting to. The wildlife's coming back, green's starting to appear, so maybe we're going to have a little bit of normal weather as we expect this time of year. So not long after arriving, I dug myself a fire pit and procured some firewood. That's what's left of it. That's about a third, so I used about 2/3 of the wood that I procured to see me through cooking some food and just having a nice little bit of warmth and firelight when the temperatures dropped a little bit. But it was quite a mild evening last night. As you can see, I've already got out my two-season sleeping bag on top of the mat, and basically I'm in softy trousers over my normal cargo trousers, and then a softy jacket, and all I had on underneath it, as you can see, was just a t-shirt, fleece. So I just had 3 layers on my upper half. And I was just laying like this on top of the mattress till about, I suppose maybe it was about 4 o'clock. I dozed off, woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning and thought, oh, I'll get the sleeping bag, because I could just feel a little bit of a chill. But the weather's definitely got milder in the evenings now, so hopefully what we'd expect this time of year. You can see the sunlight sort of trying to get through the shadows of the branches just above my tarp. So I'm out for sort of nearly 3 days. So I was here overnight Saturday night, and I'm going to be here again today, Sunday night. I think nature's coming back to life. What can you sniff, Gosh? What is it? As soon as she got out of the sleeping bag, she was in the sleeping bag with me. As soon as she got out, it was all sniffing around. It was like, obviously she can smell a few different aromas, but you can actually tell the difference. When I was paddling here yesterday afternoon and along the river, there's sort of like it's not a horrible smell, it's a sort of a watery riverway smell, but then you could notice the difference because the vegetation is starting to come out, and it's like an earthy, grassy, sort of an aromatic smell as well. It's really nice, and you can really notice that obviously life's coming back, nature's starting to return, getting back into its normal mode. Now the milder weather's come, as it should be this time of year now, and it's obviously brought out a lot of boat people. Launches are out, a few canoeists I've seen passing by, so yeah, it's been a good weekend, and it's going to continue to be one. Last night I cooked myself some Chinese flavoured chicken and some maple seasoned marinated pork belly strips on the old campfire there. But I'll show you what I got up to last night and what I cooked. Right, so I'm going to get out of my thermals and get myself more appropriately attired for this sunny, it's a little bit cloudy. I mean, it's predicted to be a little bit overcast here and there, but it's mainly going to be a warm and sunny day with temperatures ranging between 16 to 18 degrees. So result on that one, it's going to be one of the mildest weekends I think maybe this year so far of 2013, considering it's the first week now of May. So anyway, I'm going to get out my thermals and get that on the go and raid my old food box. Okay, before I start knocking up some grub, normally this is sort of my heavy duty bag, really good bag, I've had this for a long time. On the bottom I normally put this box with food, and then in this instance for this weekend, this is now empty, but this actually contained the chicken and the pork rib, the pork belly. So those boxes would have been one on top of the other in the lower part of this bag, and then things then put on top So tin fruit, tin of sweet corn, which I'll use that for a couple of meals, tin of beans, which I'm going to have half of that in a moment, with, I've got 4 eggs in there. I reinforced this box, as you can see, just made it out of a egg box. So that was the main part of it, and then I cut another bit off because it was quite a long box, put that on, close that on top, protects it. But of course the protective lid on top of that did the job. So I've got 6 slices of bread in there, 3 I'm going to have today on my little faithful toaster frame. 2 eggs and then heat up some beans with it, and then have 3 slices of toast, so that will do me for breakfast. I decided to make up my own concoction of all-in-one coffee. I prefer to actually add my sugar to it rather than actually putting the sugar in with it. So I'll add the sugar once everything's in the cup. Instead of bringing sachets, I thought I wanted to make my own flavour. So there's a particular coffee that I really like, an instant freeze-dried coffee. And then I got some creamer powder and made up my own concoction. So it's about 1 spoonful and about of coffee to about 1.5 to 2 of the creamer. But obviously 1 spoonful of coffee, because that's nearly 500 ml. So when you've seen some of my previous videos, you've seen the sachets of coffee, and I normally have 2 in a large mug like that. So I've tried to make up the concoction here of what I would know I would need for this weekend, and a little bit more, so I can just keep mixing it up and then spoon it in, and then I'm going to have the mix that I would normally have at home, and that's the actual flavouring of coffee that I actually like. But there's a lot of coffee out there that's not actually made in little 3-in-1 sachets, so if there's a coffee that you like, make up your own little concoction mixture. These are microwavable pasta shells in bolognese sauce. 1 isn't enough for me, so I'll have 2 of those, and I might add some of the sweet corn to it. And also I've got some corned beef that I can put half of it in there as well, so just beef it up a little bit as it's mainly saucy, and then the other half I can give it to a kasha. So I've got some long life couscous, as you must be aware. I mean, this is dry, it's got a shelf life anything from 18 months to maybe 2-3 years. I've got this couscous, all I've got to do is add boiling water to it, let it soak for 5 minutes, I'll add a knob of butter. Then you've seen I've had these before as well. I'm going to chop some of this up and actually have sort of sweet Thai red chilli marinated tuna with that, and then the rest of the sweet corn can go in with that. In the box you can see 2 onions unpeeled, and also a sweet red pepper, which I think I'll actually chop up and fry with an onion. That's what I was going to do. But I mean, that's the beauty of having a canoe, and if you're not doing too much portaging, you can sort of take the stuff that you want, obviously not stuff that you don't need, but that's why I can take all this heavy duty wet food. 2 of those eggs, have half that tin of beans, 3 slices of toast I'm going to knock up on that, get the brew on the go. That was good. As you can see from my licked plate and mini frying pan. No, I'm kidding. Mopped up the residue of all the juices and the bean juice and what have you with with the toast, but I've just wiped the worst of it off with some kitchen roll, but I'll give all that a wash later on. But just having coffee, and I'll tell you about that bag. We'll actually show you actually. All my cook kit was in here, and I'll now proceed to show you what I did when I unpacked it to put it on display yesterday. Okay, what I decided to do for this weekend was procure water from the river. So all I brought with me was this litre bottle, which I always have attached to my rucksack, so I've got easy access to it when I'm paddling around. So I've got a source of water accessible easily. And then I've got this 2 litre bottle here, which I brought. So I only really bought 3 litres. There was a little bit of water in here. So I brought about 3.5 litres of water in total, and all I've got left now is the majority of that left. So as you saw from that little upright kit bag, which carried all my cook kit, it also housed this 2 litre Zebra billy can. And also my newer version. I haven't used this one yet. I've got an old one, but I thought, well, I'd christen this one Millbank bag, which carries about 2 litres of water. You soak it, but you'll see me doing that in a little while. Plus I've got 2 bags. They hold just under 2 litres. I would say about just under 2 pints if we're going to go imperial measurement. But that's a lock and seal bag, where it's got the press and zip sealer. And it opens out with a bit of a flat base underneath, sort of to store food and that. So I'm going to procure water out of the river with that. And then this bag, believe it or not, originally contained, I think it was white wine or garlic flavoured mussels in their shells, where you buy them pre-packed. You can either empty them into a saucepan. They're already cooked, but they just need heating. And this was out of the freezer department in the supermarket. I like the plastic. It's really stunning. You can tell, you can hear it. It's really sturdy. I've tried pulling it about and what have you. I gave it a good wash. I gave it a good bleach. There's no aromas to it. So I can source some water, store it here in those bags, while the Millbank bag is filtering out any sort of sediment into the billy can. And then once it's filtered, obviously it's not going to be consumable. I'm going to boil it hanging from my tripod stand, a new bit of kit that I've acquired recently, over the open fire, and use that to source my water for the rest of the weekend. So that was one of the objectives I wanted to do, hence bringing, I don't normally bring this billy can unless I'm out with myself and somebody else. I've used it with my son before. But it's more of a sort of a 2-man job really. I get by with the other smaller saucepans I've got. I was actually going to bring my 5 litre kettle, which some of you would have seen me use in the video when 4 of us went into, did an overnight camp, an overnighter, and it was Mike, Armoured Cockroach, Darren, Frunky Prepper, and Mick of Animal Tendencies, and the 4 of us used that kettle over an open fire. Obviously 5 litres, if I was going to stay here for longer and I needed to have that stock of 5 litres of water, I could boil it up again, hang it from my tripod stand or any other form of device, as long as you can get it over a fire or over some sort of flame for it to boil. That of course is the main objective. But I was going to bring the 5 litre if I'd have been, you know, sort of myself and maybe a couple of other people, because a 5 litre kettle would have been just the job, as it was for the 4 of us when we did the woodland camp last year. But I thought, well, it's just myself, so I can boil up 2 litres at a time, and then using this stainless steel bottle, which is just under a litre, it's about 800, just over 800 millilitres of water. It's stainless steel. I've used this in my hobo stove, so I can pour the boiled water into here, so I've got access for drinking water. And of course, being in stainless steel, pouring just boiled really hot water is going to be much better than going into a plastic bottle, obviously. And if I did need to even use that as a vessel to very sort of gingerly collect the water, I could actually put that in the embers of the fire, or rig up some sort of little wire device around it to boil it as well. But I've mainly got the metal bottle to pour out the water so it can cool down, so I've got direct drinking water literally to drink. So yeah, so you'll see me doing that a little bit later on. Okay, so my softy trousers and jacket been airing for a little while. My fleece, my buff head garment, Karsh's coat, my t-shirt. And from this centre support bungee cord. I've got the sleeping bag area as well, so they've been up for a good couple of hours. So what I'm going to do now is tidy those bits of kit away, put them away tidy underneath the Basha. Okay, a couple of other things, sort of bullet points as I call them. That's all the softy trousers, softy jacket, but I've got this. Although I've got the tripod seat, I've also got this to sit on if I'm sort of close contact to the floor, like I'm going to do now, kneeling down. Comfortable for my knees, plus as well, when car settles for the night, it's good insulation for her against the ground. But so that's the trousers, sleeping bag rolled up, there's a dog coat, softy jacket, the fleece t-shirt. So that's all just stacked up out of the way, nice and tidy. And of course in my dry bag I've got some other bits of clothing, spare socks, underwear, another t-shirt and another vest, you know, because if something was to happen where I did have an accident, fall in the water, you know, there's a lot of water around, I need to tog up with some dry clothes. And plus, well, if you get a bit musky and sort of sweaty and, you know, it's a hot day, and also the smoke from the fire, which obviously was behind me, you know, it's nice to have a couple of bits of clothes. So again, got the canoe, can bring the stuff, so that's great. Another little bullet point, some of you actually know that I thought I'd mislaid this large blade come machete. It's a real basic one, you've seen me use it before, but I really like it. I've got on with it well, it sharpens well, it's got a nice feel to it. As I say, I really like this one, but I thought I'd lost it. And if you mislay a bit of kit, or you can't find it, or you think you've lost it, you go through a sort of a bushcrafty bereavement. Anyway, I found this where I least expected it. As you know, it's got a cordura sheath. I've put some duct tape, it's about 2 foot of duct tape rolled around it. But what I did with some of the silicone sealant that I made up to seal the ridge of this tarp, as some of you know, it leaked. It's brand new, but obviously it had a bit of a dodgy treatment on its sealant just there. So I've resealed it, and some of the mix that I had left over, because that's cordura and it's a bit sort of porous, I thought I might as well just cover that with it, make it waterproof rather than getting soaking wet as it's done before. But what I want to show you is how I've linked 3 bits of tools together. So initially, from the belt loop of the machete, I put one of those plastic tie band cords around, as you can see my thumb's just touching there, and then put a carabiner on it so I could just hang that independently from my waist. But then I thought, right, well, so I can have the whole lot together, I've also got the carabiner where I've modified the sheath of my Mora 510. You can see paracord on there, a bit of Ranger band, and also some duct tape. But that can also be hung on my belt independently via the carabiner that my finger's through. And then plus, of course, my real basic saw. I need that for backup, which again has got a bit of lanyard round the hole of the handle. And then through the lanyard I've got another carabiner. So all of that hanging up, as you can see, that would be against my body. And that's the front, so I've got access to all the tools, which I'll now show you. So the machete belt loop carabiner is actually on the belt, and then as you can see, I've got easy access to bring that up, to access it quite easily. Machete independently, while it doesn't disturb the Mora, still hangs there safely. And then the saw, which I have at the back, which I use that secondary. First choice is that. If the wood's too big, then I'll add a bit of saw to it as well. But as you can see, easy access, and that's what I was carrying around on my belt last night when I was procuring the wood. Now for the tarp briefly. As I say, I gave this another 2 coats of silicone mixture. My video adapted to the situation where this tarp, the first time I'd used it, actually leaked on some of the main stitching areas. You can see the ridge hoop there. Some people have said that maybe it was upside down. Doesn't matter actually where the sealant is, whether it's on the inside or outside. A sealant is a sealant, so even if it's turned around the other way, it should still stop any water ingress. But it was mainly on the stitching, where you can see there's one handle, stretcher handle, another one there, another one, so there's 4 along the ridge. There are 2 loops here, but for this type of tarp, which is official NATO British Army issue, it's genuine as well. You have 3 ridge loops, 1, 2, 3. Now if it was round the other way and I had this surface on the inside turn round the other way, this loop here, which is about 18 inches from the end, and the other loop wouldn't be central because there's not a central one. So of course, if this was hung round the other way, I'd have a loop here, a loop just there, a loop 18 inches from the end, but there'd be a sag in the middle if I'm using a ridge line like paracord to come through the centre. So this is the right side up, with the eyelets and loops also along the 2 outer edges. Normally I'd call this 8-point fix or star, but actually it's got 9-point fix because there's 3 along the side, 1 corner here, paracorded. Then obviously it's bridged up here. I can bring it down if the weather gets inclement, but I've bridged it up here with the one of my tubular poles, which has got 6 parts to it, but here I've got 4. But what you can see here is, so this loop of the tarp doesn't slide down, I've hooked it through the bungee cord hook, and then the hook's gone inside the top, so it keeps that secure. Then this front corner here, bungee corded down, and I'll just come to the ridge, as you've just seen, bungee corded up to that tree, looped over that branch so it brings the centre up, so I've got a decent seating space that I can rotate round underneath. And then this one here, bunged up, this corner paracorded down to the ground, pegged in. Same with that corner there, as you can see, paracorded down. But because I wanted the centre point of each long flank of the Basha risen in the centre, so it's a good vantage point and visual point, I just made what is like really a glorified tent peg, which is notched out, and then the hook of the bungee cord, there's 2 of them, goes up and fastens around that bit of branch there. You can just see me moving it around. And then this bit is like the upside down version of what you do on a handmade wooden tent peg, where the slant's going that way, and then the loop is able to actually catch on that little bit of ridge of the wood here. So that did the job, just like a glorified tent peg, holding that side up. Of course I could have done the same thing this side, used a piece of wood on this side and done the same thing as what I've done over there. But I brought the sectional 6-section pole with me, just in case something ever happens. You know, I could have an accident or something could happen where I've got no access to any wood, where I've actually got to go onto a flat riverbank and I've got nothing to actually hoist the, or at least have some part of an opening of the Basha. So I could divide this into 3, here's 3 parts, and then 3, and then I could actually have it at either end of the apex and have a really low profile A shape if there was an emergency, where I just use this that I actually brought with me. But as I say, I could have used a piece of wood there as well, but I got it with me, so I thought, right, get myself set up. Once I'd got that bit done, then I knew what I was going to do the other side. Darren of Funky Preppers channel, cheers Darren, when he saw this in use in Adapt to the Situation video, where I was prepared, but I unexpectedly stayed out in inclement weather. The tarp actually leaked, brand new, but for some reason it was leaking, so where the main stitching parts are. So after he saw that, he very kindly donated his DPM woodland camo Basha, same sort of spec as this, but the sort of woodland camo, similar to the ground sheet really, that sort of colour. I will be using it, but I think I'm going to designate that to my special bug out cache backup bit of kit. So yeah, but I will use that most probably very soon anyway. But thanks for that, Darren, really appreciate it. Good man. And I was also given this, Tom, Quality Jackson's channel. I call it a monkey fist. It's a monkey key ring, but I call it a monkey fist, yeah, because it can hang around like a monkey. You tie it onto a bit of cord or anything you need to sling over a branch that you can't reach. I'm going to do a mini version here. So whatever this is tied to, you throw it up, the weight of the ball carries it, and then runk goes the other side. So it helps you to hitch up and connect whatever sort of fastenings onto high branches or anything high up above. So thanks for that, Tom. Okay, there you can see the lightweight tripod. It's got 3 sections, 1, 2, 3. You can see there's a Boss screw thread fixing here. Screw thread goes into this top part, which is drilled at an angle, so that screws in, but all these screw together. And then there's an adjustable chain with a hook. So I've hooked it through the eyelet of the actual millbank bag, whereas obviously you'd use the cord and paracord and other bits and pieces if you were hanging it from a tree, which I could quite easily do, but I'm trying this out this weekend. So once the water's filtered through in the old 2-litre billy can, it's getting a bit slow at the moment, but I've got plenty of time, and I'll strike up the fire. Then I'll move this tripod and spread it over the top of the fire pit, so the flames, once the fire's going, will boil up that water. And then I can top up the millbank bag with this. There's about another litre and a bit in there. So a bit of old school water procurement. So I'll boil that up in a moment. Okay people, I've poured some of the water out of the billy can in the saucepan. I've got enough water in there to boil up and put a splash in there to clean the frying pan, the knife, fork and spoon with the scourer, so then I can fry up in that frying pan the onion and the sweet red pepper. And then with the rest of the water that's in that saucepan, I'll add this couscous, boil that up, and then you just leave it for it to soak up and sort of rehydrate. Add a knob of butter to it, and then add a tin of sweet corn and chop up this tuna. So that's all going to be my sort of dinner, and I'll clean up that frying pan as well. Nearly forgot. A little bit of my own stuff in there, sort of pepper and bits and pieces, and then mainly mixed with some funky spice to sort of season that up. And I've got a tin of fruit for dessert. Yummy. Couscous, hot and spicy with raisins, sunflower seeds, mixed vegetables and herbs. Okay, so it's just coming up to nearly 10 o'clock. It's just got fully dark now. Doesn't start normally getting dark till about just gone 9 o'clock, 9:15, something like that. So the darkness is actually setting for the night now, so it's coming up to 10 o'clock. So I've got the fire going and just under 2 litres of water to boil up, as you just saw there, hanging on that metal tripod. So that'll give me some water to make a brew. Wash the frying pan and the billy saucepan, and then just have a chill in front of the fire, or a warm in front of the fire. How can you chill? Mentally, you can chill in front of the fire and be mesmerised by the flames and the warmth and the coziness of it. There's two things, I suppose there's two main things. Obviously a nice day when you're outdoors. If the weather's clement, then there's more things you can do instead of being stuck under your basher, your tarp, your shelter, your tent. But the sound of pitter-patter of the rain on a tarp, especially on a tarp, because you can see it trickling off, there's nothing you can do about it, but knowing that you're adapting with it under a shelter. With the pitter-patter of the rain just gives you that real element of knowing you're outdoors in nature. And of course then striking up a fire outdoors. Two good things. It's all outdoorsies, like most. So I'm just, the flames are kicked up, just put a bit more wood on, ready to do the billy of water. I'll give that a rolling boil for a good 4 or 5 minutes. Then I'll let it cool down, pour some of it in my kettle, make a drink, as I say, wash up the cooking implements, and then what's left over, there should be a good amount left over, I can actually put in my metal 800ml flask, the purple one I showed you earlier, and then I'll procure some more water mushery, boil up another lot, so then that'll cool down overnight actually in the 2 litre billy can that's hanging up there now. So by the end of the night I'd have done 2 lots. So it's going to be a clear night, nice and mild, and I'll just stay up stoking the fire until I naturally want to go to sleep. Make the most of it. Meanwhile, Welcome to my fire space. There you go, you can join me. Mesmerised by the chill outness of the fire. Okay people, it's late Monday afternoon. Got up this morning, made the same breakfast as yesterday, the eggs and beans and toast, which was quality. And potted around, then had a snack, made another brew. But what I'm doing now is, because I'm not going to strike up the fire anymore today, I'm just doing my last lot of 2 litres of millbank bagged river water. And just giving that a rolling boil. It's already been going for about 4 or 5 minutes now anyway, so that's going to be my last lot of water for the day. Once some of it's cooled down in a metal bottle, just under a litre, I'll have that for drinking water and use the other just over a litre for just washing sundries and just finishing off for the day. And here's the tripod. I've disconnected it. You can see the 3 legs. The middle parts have the boss screw thread that goes in. These top 3 bits screw in here. You see the holes are at an angle. That threads through to have the hook at whatever height and level you want. So that's the bag it all comes in. For ages I've been looking around for a decent metal trowel, one that's not sort of welded, and this one that I've been using, it's a lightweight aluminium, but it's really sturdy, really strong. It's dug right down to sort of 6 to 12 inches through fibrous roots, and it's moulded into the handle, and the handle seems to go, if you want to call it, full tang, with that sort of synthetic rubberized handle grip to it, and with a metal as well inside the actual ring if you wanted to lanyard it or hook it up somewhere. The main thing I wanted was a metal trowel. Boat going by. Bit of life on the waters today. Obviously the warm weather's been absolutely brilliant. But say I wanted a metal trowel, and as you can see, once again it's all sort of moulded really strong. I think it was originally about £8, $14 US, and it was reduced from a famous high street market shop that sells anything from clothes to garden kit. It was £3.99, £4, about $6 US, so I'm really pleased with that. Plus as well, it's metal, so of course it ain't gonna melt in the flames of the fire. Plus, the jacket potatoes I did, 2 for myself and 1 for Akasha, I was able to scoop them up and then just roll them over in the embers and keep turning them over so they cooked equally. So I'm really pleased with this. Second time I've used this. Good bit of kit, lightweight, strong. Not quite a folding shovel, not quite a mini trowel. It's really good, nice feel to it. So other bits of kit. Okay folks, it's just coming up to about 4 PM Monday afternoon. I'm just sitting, as you can see, in the sun. It's really nice and warm. So it's one of the warmest days I've had out this year, if not from the end of last year. I would say the warmest day in about the past 6 months. So bring it on, please. But just, I suppose, just to finish this little outing, I'll be striking down camp soon and paddling off back home. So you know the setup, I've done it many times before. But I'll just finish this video just bringing up a subject that a lot of people talk about, or that can be actually a bit misinterpreted. The zombie apocalypse, or the zombies that everyone refers to in, I don't know, anything outdoors, especially within prepping and survival. From what I know, the term zombie was actually applied to people that don't prepare for anything untoward, and basically when the stuff hits the fan and they have problems, they're running around like headless chickens, and after the people that maybe for the likes of us that do prep, do prepare, will obviously come after their stuff or be panicking because they haven't made provisions. So that's where it sort of originated from. But then of course it's now become, you know, the zombie apocalypse with a virus, human eating humans, and all that sort of thing. So the main zombie aspect for, you know, sort of outdoors is bushcraft, especially sort of survivalists, preppers, people that are sort of into the outdoors and maybe sort of hiding away your cash. What you do is you can sometimes create diversions. So, you know, you have your stuff maybe stashed somewhere, knowing that people might be able to trace it. But then you have your main source that you don't publicise, you don't verify through any form of media whatsoever, and you always keep that aside, which is normally much bigger than maybe some of your prepped, stored caches at different sites. That would be smaller amounts. But the main aspect is sort of like with the zombie apocalypse. The main thing for us, I think, is people that don't prepare and try coming after your stuff. So basically you've got to really look out for something like this.